Hello, hello everybody. Welcome to Sundays with Kate Quinn. I love sharing all of my fabulous Sew Steady products with you, and I'm super excited to share all of that right now. So today we're going to show a template that has been around a little bit but really doesn't have a lot of awareness of how great it is. So we're going to put a couple of them up here and just show you how awesome they are. This is Westalee Flying Triangle collection. So again, she has so many awesome things for us to use. And this is just another one, just another bit of awesomeness. So I want to just talk about really quickly some of the markings, but I also think that these markings are going to be a little bit easier once we start using them. So this one is kind of big. And you can see obviously it's got a triangle outside and the triangle inside. We can use this outer edge as well. Anytime that we might sew around the corner, you can see this one slightly rounded off a little bit there, which is going to make it easier for the foot to turn the corner. If this was pointed and really sharp, it is harder to get around it with the ruler foot. But it's actually going to work out really great for us because they rounded the corner, so we can actually use this.
Can you kind of pull your camera back some, or zoom back?
Yeah.
Just to show a little bit more.
Giving me some tips. Let me get you guys a good view, like we always want to. Let's see if we can. All right, how's that, babe?
That's better.
Let me tighten you guys up. Get you guys in place. So, just to recap, that's kind of some of the challenges when we sew around the outside of a corner like that. And because this is rounded off, it'll be a little bit easier to use. Anytime that we sew around the outside, for sure, you are going to have this rounded curve. So this would be a soft edge if you wanted to use it on the outside. You're not going to get a sharp point unless you would to sew up and then move the ruler over and sew around. For this type of ruler. Let's talk about the numbers real quick. This is the flying triangle at 4.5 inches. What that means is that this shorter leg is 4 inches. It's not 4 inches this way, and it's not 4 inches this way. The measurement is this leg of the triangle. So that's just something to keep in mind. So if you're using it this way, you're going to want to measure that and use whatever, numeric is working well for you. So let's go ahead and just start with one simple design. And just to confirm, this is the gateway, which is the 3 sizes. So again, these are going to have those shorter, measurements. 1, 1.5, 2 for these shorter legs of these triangles. So that same reference information is going to hold true for each of them. All right, so we're going to start with this beauty. I went ahead and I put my little peel off tape right there in case I want to use my gate. As the foot is right on this side, this line that connects right to the corner, that is your needle reference line here for both sides. And then right here, right in the center, is your needle reference. And you can see we have several echo lines that we can use either direction, which is going to be great. What's the question?
Just the camera, you're like at the top of the camera view area.
Alrighty, so just one sec, guys. We're going to get sewing, so I'll get it all set up for you so we can have a nice good view. All right, here we go. All right, I'm taking a big breath. We're using a little bit different camera setting, so it's a little bit fun to kind of get adjusted to. So let's put the camera right where we want it so you can see a little bit better. All right, and let's see how we do. All right, I think that's going to be a little bit better. And I have the ability to kind of tip that to get us up a little bit more towards the foot. Like that.
That's looking good. You can see the foot in the field there. Well.
Okay. We're using this as the reference line right here. And we're going to lay the ruler right on there. And we're just going to do a very, very simple design. So let's go ahead. We'll get set up. This one is definitely not complicated. Let's put our foot right on the reference line, pick up our bobbin thread. Let's get that ornery thread right there. All right. Needle down, and I've got the grips right here near this point, and then I've got some grips right here, of course, on this corner. So I'm going to try to hold right here as we go, and maybe a little bit of pressure sort of in the middle. That'll activate both of these grips. And then just go ahead, start your gas, and you'll just be sewing down. So I think my foot is just a little low. I'm going to raise it up, because right now...
So they're saying no sound, they're not getting any sound. Some people are saying bad sound or can hardly hear, no sound at all. Some people are saying they have sound.
Some people have sound.
And some, one says Madeline sound, but difficult to hear.
Let's see. Some people say mic is on, some people no. Okay, well, I think we're just going to have to go with it at this point. All right. Alrighty, guys, I'm not sure what the deal is.
So let's put the mic like right here so that you're actually, so it's...
Yeah, I got you. All right, so we just did a little bit of adjusting. Can you tell, honey, right now, real quick, do you have good sound or no sound? I'm not sure that if you have no sound that it's me, because some people...
So sounds are good right now.
Okay, some people definitely have sound and some people don't. Okay, so let's make our number a little smaller here. We need some more space. Okay, so right here we've sewn right into the top of this triangle, and you can see we're just going to come back down. So this design is actually super easy to do. I don't really have to do any work to get right into that next spot, and you're just going to pull this right down there. Get these threads out of there. So if you're doing a border with this template, what I recommend is you decide what is the spacing that you want to have right here, because this is not 4. This is actually a 4-inch wide opening right here. So you can tell that this border is actually not going to fill that per se. It's going to be a little shorter. But I'm going to show you some ideas how we can maybe stack some of the designs if we want to make it a little bit taller. And then we'll just do a little partial here to kind of get us up to this corner right here. I'm going to show you something really quick that I like about this template. If I needed to get squared up and, you know, put some kind of straight line.
So somehow your mic is not the one that's picking it up. It's the computer mic that's picking it up, not that. They can hear me typing in the briefing, not you. So we need to switch to whatever your mic is somehow. I know we did that when we set it up.
I think it's going to let us edit any of that. Can you try, let's see if this makes any difference or something like that. Alrighty guys, we're doing one more test. We're trying to see if we can get the correct microphone to work, and I'm so sorry that we're going through all this. We did test this. I've already made this work before, but it's having its own little thing going on. Yeah, I checked my plugins, but you know, It says that it's using the right microphone, but obviously it isn't because you guys can't hear that. So is the sound better? We did make a change. Can you hear me now? Okay. So I'm going to try going with what we have now. Honey's kind of moved the computer closer in case it's the mic, but I'm hoping that it is the camera mic that is picking you up now. So let's reset. We've got so many little challenges. I kind of want to go back to the beginning. On this design so far, all we've done is just sewed straight along and we just shifted the template over. So there's really no measuring, no marking. If I need a straight edge in order to get down, this is the very tip of this triangle right here. I can rotate this straight edge and I can use this line right here to get me straight down to our reference point. And the reason that that might be kind of powerful and useful is that is the halfway point of that triangle right there. So right away, I'm now in the middle of this half triangle right there. So let me shift around a little bit so we can get it lined up for the next one. Now I want to make a triangle that's right in the middle of this space right there. If I line it up, I don't really have a good visual right here so that I can do that. I'm going to show you how you can flip this around and get a better setup that way. Let's go ahead and just flip it around. Oh, let's see, I'm going to go back up to my top point here. So I showed you how you can use that straight edge, but I guess we need to be at the top. So if I want to, I can flip these and I can do sort of that. Oh, I'm totally discombobulated today, guys. Oh, it happens. It's technology. All right, let me show you where I'm going with this. We want to put a triangle right here in the middle. And for some reason, I'm having a little mental fluffy right now, but let's just show you. I can go back and I can sew it this way, right? And I can put that one right in the middle. And that's just something that is so convenient. I can line it up right here on the base to put this little echo right in there. So let's go ahead, we'll just come back over here, get lined back up, despite all my mental breakdown. Oh, it's a good thing you guys are friends, right? I try to be professional, but sometimes the devil's in the details and it's got a mind of its own. So let me show you, we're looking right here at this center line. I'll just put my needle in. And what I want to do is essentially cut this right in half. So I'm just going to make a little square right in the middle there. Okay, and then we should be able to scoot right over. Right here, we should be able to have this lined right up on the center line. And that's the thing that we can use. So if we need to smush a little bit, like if he's not quite lined up or whatever, we can line that up. You could also make a reference line right here, but one of the beauties of using one of these tools is you don't have to mark as much because it does have some really great markings right in there. So here, I'm just stitching right up to the top, and then I'll just come right back down.
So they really can't hear at all when you're sewing and talking at the same time. Try to split it because it is this mic here that is picking everything up, not your mic. I don't know why, but it is what it is.
So frustrating. Oh, okay. All right, well, I'm going to just adjust because that's what we do. We just make it work. I will not sew and talk at the same time, which is going to be hard for me. You guys know that already. I like to talk. So I'll try to work it out so that we can have a little bit of a better plan. So right here, I'm going to sew right up to the top, and then I'll use that same technique that we just talked about using the straight edge and getting me down there. Okay, no talking, Mommy. Okay, get us up to the top. So right here, in order to sew down, I can use either side, and I can just line this up, and I'm going to push it up so that I can use this straight edge right there which should get me right into this corner right there, and that'll help us get right where we want to be. I'm going to move up a little though, okay? We're going to do some fun stuff. Let's take this off so you can see exactly what we have. This is my little pull tab, remember? So just gently pull it. I don't want to pull it all the way off, but I want to be able to get this off and show you the design. So this is pretty basic, right? Obviously triangles, but now we're going to play with this and we're going to add some more stuff to that and just make it a little bit more interesting. One of the cool things about the template is if this is the center mark, let's put my card up here, you need a better view. Okay, so that's the center line. Well, notice that I've got a few lines here that I can use to echo. So I'm going to use both of these lines, and that should give me a bigger spacing so that I can do some fun echoing. I'm going to put it right back on and put my key in, and I'll show you the alignment. Notice that I do like to have my tape right up near the edge where this is, and when you put it on, just run your finger along there. Make sure it's seated nice and clean. So here, we'll use the same reference lines, and we're going to start echoing this. And right now, I want to just check it with your spacing gauge. You could do any different references that you wanted. So I think I went a little farther than I wanted to. All right, there we go. So I'm just going to keep this spacing, and it should be aligned right here on this reference line. That's going to get me up here. So the reason I want to use a line is notice that I can't get all the way to the center yet. See that this center line is not quite lined up, but I am in line down here. Let's see if I can show you that. So right here, this line is lined up right here with this center mark. So I know that I'm parallel to this space, and we also used our spacing gauge. And so we're right on this bottom line right here. So I'm just going to sew up, and just to keep in mind that this is 1 inch, so it should be a 3/4 inch spacing that we're looking for right here to echo. Now I'm not right at the center of this, so I'm just going to shift over a little bit. And where am I shifting at this point? I'm getting this center line lined up right there, okay? And that tells me that I'm right at the top of the design, right? So I should be all of these lined up, and then we can check our spacing here again. Maybe I need one more stitch, right, to get over there. And then right here. So I don't want to come all the way down because I want to have that same spacing like I did on the other side. And so I'll double check it, make sure I have enough room. So it's about 3/4, so that's about right. So we can go ahead and we'll shift this over, and if it's not enough, I can just come back, take 1 or 2 stitches, and then we'll just get that same 1 inch spacing on this side, right there. Okay, and then we'll just keep going up. And we need to shift over. So I'm going to keep myself aligned right here, getting to the center, and that should get me right in the middle of the design. So let's check our spacing. A little bit big. I'm going to adjust it just slightly, so as I sew down, I'll fix it a little bit. Okay, and then shift it over. And we're going to, again, try to get that same spacing. So if it looks more than that 1 inch, I'll take 1 or 2 stitches to adjust it. And then we're just going to line this up and check our spacing with our spacing gauge. So I think I still need one more. It's not quite there. So all on these, I've got different lines. I've got a line here. I've got this line down here that I can use. I want to keep it parallel so that as I move up, I can get that correct spacing with my 1 inch. Let's see if we can move up a little more so we can get towards the center. So I think need one more. So I can tell that this center line is aligned right in this space, and that's why I'm just sewing up to this other one. All right, so let's check our spacing right there. Pretty good. And we'll come down. And I'm looking right here always just so I can do a little check. See if this is 1 inch or not. If it's more than 1 inch, then I'll put this back online and just take a few more stitches to get in. So this is what I'm looking for right there, that 1 inch space. And I think I can come up a little bit more so we can get towards the center. So I'm checking here on the bottom that I'm parallel because it looks like I was canted just slightly, but that's a good fit right there. And I'm just going to shift this down so I'm right in the center, right here, so I know where to stop. All right, check that. And double check that I'm right in line. Oh, I went too far. That's okay. That's bonbon time. So let's just jump. We'll fix it. And let's see if we can get our 1 inch spacing right here. Right there. That's going to help me know where I need to be. So I'll just set my foot back down. I should be right in that existing stitch line. I'll go ahead and tack it this way so that it can just be in the stitch line right there. Then I can get those stitches out later. All right, guys. I feel like I was jumbled around. Boy, that was a rough start, huh? I'm going to see real quick if we got some questions. I feel like that was not as smooth of a discussion as I want to have. All right. Let me just show you what we have. So there's our little bonbon time. Boy, we had 2 bonbon times. I didn't do a good job lining that up right there. But let me show you something else that we can do as we move across. We're going to do some straight edges along here. And this way we can just put some little fills in here as we go. So let's go ahead and set that up. Then we're going to get to some more fun ones, I think. So when we have this shape right here, this is like this, right? If we want to line it up this way as we go across, we can push it up or push it down, make it whatever size we want. We should be able to line it up on the 2 center lines. So let's go ahead and we'll just start sewing over here, and we're going to do every other one and across. And so each one of these boxes, we're going to put a little fill in. All right, so let's get them lined up. We've got this center line, and we'll line up our space. So we're just going to sew across the bottom at this point. Let me get myself lined up. Here we go. So we don't have to make this come all the way in, but we can if we want to. We can just echo it this way. So this would make it really big. Right? And then I told you we were going to skip. So we'll skip one of them and we'll just sew over a little bit. And we want to get this next one lined up. So we're looking at the center line on both of them. And this way I can make sure that I get all the way into that one like this. And then we'll sew down, and we would put that in the next one, but now we'll go back and we'll fill in the spaces if we want to. The reason that I did it in 2 steps is if we do it in 1 step, we're going to have to stitch back along the bottom a few times, because right now, in order to make this one line up and fit, let's see if I can get it straight, right there, I would have to sew back out right here because I wouldn't quite fit. Right, so there'd be a little extra stitching. So let's put this guy in. It's going to give us some fun echoes. So we did this one already. So let's get lined up and we'll scoot down a little bit. And I'm pushing him down until I can get this lined up on this box right here. So it looks like I need maybe just a couple more stitches right there to get him right in line. So I'm lined up here and I'm lined up here. And a little smushing right here would be good. Okay, and then we can always use this to ditch right across the bottom. He's got the beautiful lines on each side, so this is a really easy straight edge right here to travel with. All right, hopefully that one's a little bit easier. That had a lot better visuals, I think, as we went. So real quick, I'm going to check some questions. I said I was going to, but I didn't. But I will now. Let's get all these cut, all these loose threads, and then we'll show you. So if this is the 3, anytime we have a bigger triangle, we can echo it more easily with the bigger triangle, because then we can still line it up on the center. So what we did is we already had the largest size. This was a 4 right here, and then we echoed it, and you saw that we had to move it up or down in order to keep that alignment. But if I have a 3 as the shape, I can just put the 4 right on the same center lines and echo it really easily. So it's about a 1/2 inch echo that you can get without if you use each bigger size each time. So kind of fun to make these little shapes in there. I do think that's really fun. Let's go ahead and start another one. So I've got some spaces right here, and we're going to create a little fill. For your reference, each of these is 2.5 inches right here, and then 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches. The center line is the reference that we're going to be using to center the triangle. So I'm going to announce our giveaway, and let's also just look at the questions real quick, make sure that we can see what people are saying. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry. It just sounds like our sound is not very good. Definitely feel like people are not getting what we want. So we've been going for 27 minutes. Do you want me to cut it and try to reset? Are you willing to come back on? And I'll try and see if I can do it a different way. There's just a lot of people that are having difficulty with the sound. So can you give me some feedback really quickly? Yes, I love these triangles, and they really do make it easy. This is a 45-degree triangle, so there's just so many ideas of how you can fix it. Okay, so I guess we're getting some feedback that the sound's a little better. Okay, good. I'm just going to keep going. So let's play with a new template. These are all coming as one. If you purchase this is called the gateway, and you're going to get all 3 of these sizes. And I believe this is a 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inch. And what they're measuring is this shorter leg here of the triangle. So the gateway comes with 3, and you'll notice that there's tape here on each one. So wherever we start, we can get our foot in, initially, but then if we're shifting, we're going to have to open up these gates periodically. Okay, this is called the Flying Triangle Gateway for this particular one with the 3 units on one. The one that we used before was a 4 inch and a 3 inch. And so I'm just gonna announce my giveaway since you guys have been so patient and we've had such a challenging tech day. I'm actually gonna give away 3 different giveaways. So we're asking people, if you like our video, if you share it out, if you give us a comment about what you like, we're going to give this away to one lucky person. We're going to give the 4-inch away to one lucky person, and we're going to give the 3-inch away. So it's a really great giveaway from So Steady. They're offering all of the options. So let's start working with this space right here, and we'll just start at the base, and we're just gonna stack them lined up right on the center line. So we can start either way. We're going to make them all point in one direction. So let's start with the big one because I like that one. I just like it. It's big. All right, let's get him right on that center start point right there. I like these threads out of my way, so we're going to stick them under there so they'll be way out of my way. Now, this has a center line. It's kind of under my tape, but I can see it. And I'm going to put this triangle right on the center. And he actually sews out about 3 inches, so he may end up coming out here. I should have planned for that, but that's okay. We're just going to show you how you can interlock these. So if I sew the triangle, right, all the way in, I want to get to the top, to the point right here of the triangle. So just sew around until you finish him and you get to the point. And now I've got to open up my gateway, right? So he opens up pretty easily, and I'm just going to shift down to the next one and then close my gate. So I don't want to pull him all the way up. He has kind of like a little squared off edge. It's not really like a puzzle piece. So just fit him in there and just make sure the gate's closed and then line him back up. So now we're going to just sew around. So before we doubled up on the one side, so maybe I'll sew the opposite way this time, just so we can double up on the other side. Get your foot all the way into your point. Come around. So it doesn't matter which side you double up on. That's just totally up to you. You can do whatever you want. And then again, you're going to open up this one, and he should just open up pretty easily. So don't try to pull the tape, just kind of wiggle him through and then close the gate. I think my tape is a little wonky on that side. There you go. Get him in place. I'm going to hold him so I can get my tape straight. I think my tape is a little crazy. There we go. All right, and just make sure he's nice and in his spot. Keep all of these center lines lined up. And now we'll just do this little guy right here. And I'll come right back up to the top. Now I'm going to just go back. I'm going to open this gate again and just wiggle that. And I'm going to leave this gate open, and I'm going to open this one too. Now you can do whatever pattern you want to do, but I'm going to go from the biggest all the way down to the smallest each time. And then I'm going to show you how we can line up the next row when we're ready to do this next row. So I'm just going to do a couple more so we can get the pattern. Let me show you one more alignment piece right here. This can also be used for squaring him up and making sure he's centered. You have this on both sides. So that can be something that you can use as well to help keep you lined up. We'll come back up to the top. And let's see if we can adjust our camera position a little bit better. All right, so let's open up this secondary gate right here and move back down a size. So now we have to close both of the gates because otherwise we can't use the bottom, right? So let's close that. I think my tape must be kind of twisted on the bottom because he does not want to get lined up. So again, make sure you're using all your reference lines. Check behind, check in front, and you can also use this side alignment and make sure that we're lined up. So I think we'll go this way, double up on this side. Okay. And then we'll just open up the bottom gate and we'll do the last one. So that's going to get a really cute border pattern. As a reminder, this is going to sew out from side to side at about 3 inches in width, right? So whenever you're planning for your border, just one row of this is going to be wider than 2.5. But I'm going to show you why I chose 2.5 as a spacer in just a second. Okay. So we'll just come back to the top and we'll tack it off. So this would just be a simple border. It's really cute and fun. It's easy to do. It's not really complicated. You're just stacking them just like you would a circle, but you're doing it as a triangle. And because you have that gateway system, that allows you to change sizes each time if you want to. So it could be any pattern. We can create our own pattern. But doesn't that look awesome? So that's really fun geometrics, and just that center line is just going to help you get all of those guys lined up so easily. So let me show you something that we're going to do now. We're going to shift the other way, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as the spacer, but aligned on the center. What that'll do is that'll keep this in the middle of these other spaces as we move down. So that first row is going to need that 3-inch spacing on this outer edge. You can see we sewed into our little partner. So your very first row, you need that full 3 here so you're not stitching into other designs. But we are going to overlap the next row. So we don't need the full 3 for this one because we're actually going to make our shapes fit in right there. So let me show you. So we are going this way, so now we're going to go this way. And I'm going to line this guy up right in the midst of that space right there. So let me see if I can turn it. I'll show you what I'm looking for. So he's on the center line. And what I kind of want right here is I want the same spacing on the bottom and the top. And the way I can get that easily is there's a reference line right here on the bottom that goes all the way across. And if I line that up, this is a 1/4 inch right here, and that's a 1/4 inch. So that line is already on your template. Let's see if I can show you that line right there. So I'm going to line this second one up, and I'm going to line him up in the middle. And then whatever I get, you know, the spacing of this pattern should be the same. So as I go the other direction, I still should be able to fit all of my pieces the same so that they can stack in the same place. So let's go ahead and play with that. All right, so I won't cut into that design because I need that space for something else. So we'll just do the bottom here. We'll kind of fudge this, and then we're going to go backwards when we sew. Instead of going, you know, essentially forwards, we're going to sew towards you. So we want to stop down here and add the points down this way each time as we go now. So we'll just come across. Okay, I'm in the center, and I'm going to open the gate, and we're going to start going the opposite way. So let's talk about what size do we need real quick. So when we did the other side and we went sort of backwards, like if this is the biggest one, the littlest one is at the bottom of it and the medium is at the top. So right now, if we're going backwards, we're going to have to go down 2 units to get this size as our next one. so get them lined up. Checking both sides. I'm looking back here and here just to make sure that we're lined up. Right to the center. You can see that the needle's lined right up there, and then I can move to the next side. So we'll just open this gate right here. Scoot it down and close our gate. And then I'm right lined up right there in the center. We'll put this medium one on and we'll start going. Okay, so next one. So the trickiest part about this, I think, is just making sure that you keep the right orientation when you're going backwards, right? Because you're going to go the opposite way. So here, see how we're going to fit ourselves. Essentially, this is, let me see if I can show you. We're looking sort of a 1/4 inch right here and right here. Remember that we said that reference line should line right up on this medium size, and he does. And we're centered, so that's exactly what we need. So what happens with this big one is he crosses the boundary. Okay, so I'm going to answer Sharon Tucker. Do you see that I sewed the triangle, right? But I'm over there. I need to be over here to get the next one to start. So when I sew back down, I'm positioning myself for the one below. And that's the same on this side. When I sewed it, I had to go back over a certain area so that I could advance to the next stitch position. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll just follow this along. So I could choose not to do that. I could jump, but I think this is less mess and you're using the ruler, so it is easy just to move around the ruler. You get a pretty stitch. And what I was saying is I like to sometimes double up on this side, and then when I did this side, then I would maybe do the other side. Although, honestly, I'm not sure if I'm doing that today. I can't tell. All right, so we need to go all the way down to the baby. So we'll open both gates. And this baby gate is kind of ornery, but I seem like I have to turn him. I can't seem like I can get him in there super easy. I think my tape is in between the openings, so he just is catching on the tape. So I'll have to find a better tape setup. Get him lined up, and then we'll go ahead and sew this one. Let's make sure we're lined up. We look pretty even. And then come back down, right to the center. Barbara, welcome. I'm glad you could make it. All right, let's get this open and we'll go back to the middle. Get this nice and straight. Oh, middle. So let's get this tape seated. Am I flipping around with the tape? Yes, I am, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me. I got nothing else to do but sew all day. My husband would like me to do some more chores, but I don't want to. My son's 20th birthday celebration is tonight. We're having dinner, so that's what Honey's working on right now. So let me put the last one in just to show you, and then we're going to pull this off so you can kind of see how these stack in place. And I do want to do one more of the other row. Let's take it off, because I want to show you how we line up the next one to make sure that everybody stays in position. All right, so let's pop this. I just wiggle it a little bit to kind of free it so the tape can bend. And then I can get that out like that. All right, proof's in the pudding, right? Doesn't that look awesome, you guys? That is so cool. Just think this is super fun. And you can change this spacing. Like I said, these are 3, but I like the idea that there's a little intersection between these right here. So that's why I chose that. And this, again, is the reference line that we were using to line it right up so that you could make it go the other way and these would fit right in. But I could make this wider so that this space is wider if I wanted to, or I can make it tighter. So as I said, this is 2.5. If our spacing, say, was only 2.25, then these would be closer together. So that's an option for you when you're playing with this design. And you're right, Linda, I'm going to respond to your question or comment. Linda said this would be great for a modern quilt. Absolutely agree. Triangles are, I think, a favorite of the modern set, and they do have not that softened, angly look. So that brings me right to my next design, where I'm going to share with you a way that you can use the triangles, but you can soften them too. So that would be really fun. So let's go ahead and we'll tack this off, but I do want to mention real quick how we're going to line up if we were continuing. I almost forgot that, so I don't want to. I think that would be important if you're trying to do this as a fill. And obviously we're using really small triangles right now. If we used bigger ones, you could see that they would quilt up faster a larger area. So that would be another option for you if you had different sizes. All right, so let's just show you this real quick. So we lined it up as I showed you. We use that reference line right here. So let me kind of close these, and I'm just going to lay this on here to explain so you can. Okay, so when we sewed this right here, we used the very start right there. We had our foot lined up right there. And if we line that up, we should be able to use this row and use the same to go down because the spacing is identical, right? We're starting at the same spot as we go, and we could line it up. If we needed to, like if we had some kind of interruption, like we had to start down here, then you could always mark a reference line. You can see, like, I can just make a straight line across for this medium one right there. And I can use that as the reference line if I didn't have any design out here. You could pick any one of the matching row and you could create a parallel line across, a straight line that would intersect this center line, and then you could start that same size shape at that same point. And that way, no matter where your design ended up, you would always be able to keep these aligned so that these would intersect the same right here. Okay, okay, let's set for another one. So I have created a fun space right here. I can feel a little batting wiggle, so I'm just gonna tug it a little. You can do this with circles. This is a little bit of a longer arc, and let me see if I can find it. Where's that big one?
The big arc.
Yeah, it's right there. Oh, there it is. So typically I don't really show one of these. I consider this a little bit harder to use on domestic because it's really big. This is the 16-inch arc. So here's my hand, here's my other hand. That's how big it is. It's huge. Let's see if I can kind of, I've said it before, it's like the giant smiley right there, okay? Definitely 12 inches, probably more. I'm thinking that this is a little bigger than that. So I created the center line and I put the first arc in, and what I want to do is I kind of want to put triangles centered on that. So I thought that would be kind of fun for us to play with, and we could make them different sizes or we could make them the same size. So maybe we'll do half of it with just a single, and we'll use the 3, and then as we go over here we'll kind of see if we want to play with a different size and what that might look like. So let's start it from this side, and we'll go this way. This center line would be not something I would sew. This is simply just the alignment, and these maybe I would sew to create a frame for the design if I wanted that, but it's not required. So let's go ahead, we'll just get our needle set. Let's pick up the bobbin thread. I'm sticky today. My threads keep catching me. All All right, so let's get right on that line. Ooh, bumping things. Okay, what are we trying to align when we first start with this design? We want the back line, this line in the center, and this line in the center. So essentially, we're trying to kind of get an even amount of whatever, of triangle, on each side. So obviously here, I'm going to have to cut that short. So just bear with me right there, because that would be, you know, outside of your quilt, right? So we'll just hop over. So just like we did before, if we want to travel and stack these, we need to come back to the top in order to do that. So one of the nice things about using just a single size is you're already inside, so you don't have to worry about it. So again, I'm going to keep this aligned and the center point of this one aligned. If I use a smaller circle, I can see that this would be a little harder if the circle has a tight curve, because maybe I would bump into the other triangle. So that's why I chose this 16-inch arc, because I wanted it to be pretty wide. But if I use a smaller circle, then I probably wouldn't have any trouble, right? This is kind of a big, this is a big triangle. If I use a smaller triangle, then they probably would fit in a little better. So I think we can probably get one more of this size. I'm lined up back and front, and we'll just do one more. So in this instance, with this triangle being actually bigger than the arc measurements, obviously I would not want to sew the arc right here. I'd have to echo it in order to make sure it's outside of the triangle's boundaries. I wouldn't want to cut the triangle off. So let's take this off, and then let's start putting in some smaller ones just so you can see. But I think this could be a really fun fill if you had a gentle arc that had some, wide curves. I wouldn't want to do something super deep curvature. But I think if you use something that was like long, even like a 12-inch arc, and then you just did one this way and one that way, I think this would be super fun. And then I'm going to show you an embellishment that we can do too that'll be fun as well. So we're just going to change the design up a little bit and put the smaller ones on. So again, with our gateway, we have to open it up all the way. There we go. Because we want to start with the biggest one first. So we're going to open both of the gates to get to the top and put this on. And then I'll close it up. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing. So here I'm going to line this line up and the center line, right? And that'll be my next triangle. And he's obviously going to fit in this space a little better in the sense that he will be inside the boundary. Okay. And now I'm going to show you my little embellishment, right, before we move on. Let's open this up and close it. Tape that and tape this side. And I'm going to do the same alignment right here, the center and the center. And let's sew this triangle. Okay, and then let's open this one. And close it. And put him right on there. And same thing, we'll line him up on the center. And you're going to get little slight echoes in here because they are going to be kind of a little bit of movement. And that's going to make them essentially float a little bit in there. So let's come back this way. And you know what we'll do, rather than put two of them in, we'll just put one. and we'll use a bigger size difference because I think that would be fun. So let's go ahead and we'll sew this one. So if you have negative space, a modern look, and you want to put something that isn't just in a line, these are going to work really well so that you can get a little bit more fun out of it. So make sure my tape is in place. And again, I'm lining up on the curve, but if I wanted to line up in the middle, I can check the spacing with the spacing gauge. I can use that here and right here, and that should put the floater triangle right in the middle of the previous one if I wanted to do that. So that would be not a little stagger, that's just literally putting a little triangle right at the top. So it's sort of like you created a little parallel line in the middle of your triangle. I kind of like it where it's a little offset better because then it looks like it's got a little bit more motion. But I'll let you guys decide. I'll show you as soon as we're done. So we'll just keep adding some more of these, and then we'll do one more variation that we can do with this one. Let's come all the way to the top. And this variation, we won't change the size. We're just going to keep the same size, and I'm going to tip in the direction of the curve. So like the curve's going this way. So I'm going to push this so that this guy kind of goes that way. And what we'll do is we'll make a little echo in there. And let's check one thing. I want to make sure we don't cut into the previous one. Perfect. Okay, good. So I wouldn't do this a billion times, but I think you can get away with it maybe just once. And this would add a little bit of fun motion to each of the triangles. And then we'll just do one more so you can see how it would look with two of them. Okay, so same thing, we're going to tip this, and let me show you what it looks like right here, a little bit better. See if we can get you in a little tighter. Okay, so what I'm doing, if this was the previous setting, this line right here, I'm just going to tip it right there. And again, that's only a little bit, so we should still hit at that 1/4 inch. And that gives you kind of like a little echo of it. And I love it. I think it looks awesome. So we'll just do this last one off into infinity. So here's the last one. We'll tip it. And what you can do then, if the curve changes directions, you can tip this the opposite way and still kind of get a similar look to it, but it's going to follow the motion of the curve. So what it does is it convinces the viewer that the curve is tipping right there with the curve. It gives that sensation of movement activity, which is really awesome. So let's show you what these couple variations look like. Isn't that fun? I love this. So you can see, like, if we were going the other way and we tipped it the other way, it would kind of create that three-dimensional sense. Here is where we lined it up exactly right on the triangle, so that's an easy way to put some extra lines in there. We can also do this with the same shape just by pushing the line up, the parallel line on the bottom. We can just push it up and we could do that. But it might be a little easier to line it up if you just put the tip right at the tip like we did here. And then this, we get the little offset on purpose. You can see there's not much difference in size, so we maybe would want to shift a little more to get more value here, to make this look more intentional, not like we messed up. I mean, I don't feel like it looks like we messed up, but if we want to emphasize this, maybe the first one that you do, when you line it up end to end, shift it over a quarter. And then when you line this one up, shift it over a quarter again. And that would give you a little bit more value with these kind of sticking out like this. Okay? So let me cut this and I'll show you the whole curve. There you go. So lots of ideas, and you could see that this kind of swoopy thing would be great. You could even draw your center curve by hand, or use edges of a plate or whatever. You're not stitching this, so you don't have to be able to sew this curve. So the curve can be as involved as you want it to be. I just recommend that it's not super deep, like up and down. You kind of want it to be long and flatter in order to give you some room so that these don't cut into each other. Because if it's really narrow but tall, these points, if you're trying to change directions quickly, they could end up cutting into one another. Okay, so let me cut some threads, and I'm going to check for questions really fast. All right, let's see. I'd like to just kind of review. So I do see that somebody's hijacking our feed. We don't ask for any pay or anything like that. Anything that asks you for a credit card on our Facebook Lives, absolutely, we don't do that. So I can't adjust that right now, but I will delete that spammer later. Make sure you don't follow any of those links. Okay, that is not us. We do not do that. And let's go down so we can see what we're doing. Marla, I've seen your work lately. You're crazy awesome. Beautiful stuff. Dolly Ross, Sandy Goodstone, Opal Roop. Hi, you guys. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. Lots of flying geese. Certainly this could be used in flying geese. What would be great is to use this in the negative space of a flying geese quilt to echo that same content in your negative space, but not have it be pieced. So that would be a really great place for that, to use that in your flying geese area. All right, let's see. Anyway, it has a lot of great reference lines. You can see, obviously, I was doing a lot of the gateway stuff. I think some people, have a question about the utility of that, but what you get, you get those 3 precise sizes, you get that center line on this, and then the downside, or the, one of the compromises is you have to open up the gates, but you get 3 different sizes in one for one price, which is pretty great. So I think you certainly can do a lot of these designs with a square ruler, but I actually think the triangle, because this is a 45-degree triangle, you get the 90-degree angle right here, and then the 45-degree angles are on the shorter sides right here. And so this right here, like if this is a 2-inch, that makes a 2-inch square. So I do like that those have a lot of flexibility to both do square and triangle designs with just the one template. So pretty versatile. Yeah, so Margie Jones said that it would look great if you made a curved line around your border and then you had the flying geese along it. So Nancy Cook, the rulers aren't exactly new, but they really have not been promoted. So they are kind of new in this first quarter. We're doing the London collection, and you guys saw I did the flying square gateway, and this is the flying triangle gateway. Then we have another one, it's called the flying tricorn, which is a triangle, but it's a curvier shape. It's not exactly like a straight line. And so these are all from Leonie's London collection, and the reason that we're sharing them is Janet Collins made this amazing quilt, and I think it's called the Lattice quilt, and they're getting us ready to share that content of that amazing quilt. So we're showing some of the potential of the rulers that are used in that quilt, And that way people will have some exposure to those templates before that pattern is put out there. So, and of course, somebody just said would make a great Christmas border. Yes, can you not just see your amazing Christmas tree so easy with these? They would be awesome for making little Christmas trees. Let's see. I'm trying to get down to making sure I'm getting some of these. So I answered the going over it twice. Center lines. This one has just one echo line right here. This is your needle position right here. And this line for each of these littles is a 1/2 inch away. So there's one echo line for each of the gateway. If you're using the bigger triangles, you get 2 lines at 1/4. So it's still the same spacing. It's still the 1/2 inch right there, but you'll get a midline. And I think the reason that they do that for these bigger ones is obviously they're much bigger. Here, these are already so small that you're not going to get much value for a 1/4 inch, so they just moved it to 1/2 to give you a little bit better value if you're trying to like shift up. Because literally you could sew up a little bit and then you could just put another triangle and they could intersect. So Kathy asks, are these 2 sets or one combination? So Kathy, right now, every one of the flying triangle templates is sold individually. It isn't sold as a set. So if you bought the gateway, you would get this piece and the keys. And then if you bought this size, you would get this one item. And if you bought the 3 inch, you would just get one item. So you could certainly create your own set. Madeline, yes. So you absolutely could use the echo guides with this. I think that's a great idea if you wanted to. In fact, we can even just show that a little bit later because we definitely have the option to share how that would look. So let's go ahead and do one more. And I'm going to use, I think, let's see if I'm going to do a little test size. Oh, that's too big. All right. See, I need like I need lots of sizes. I love it. Maybe that would be a good place. No, that would be hard. Okay, let's just do what I was gonna do. I'm gonna close all of these real quick. So we don't need all these gates open. So let's get them closed and then make sure nobody's wiggling. And we'll just start right in this size. This is that 2 inch and we'll line it up. So right here, I have 16 lines made with my 8-point crosshair. And initially, I'm just going to sew the 8 units and just show you how you could travel and kind of create a modern center motif. But then I'm going to show you another one. So maybe we'll do half with the one way and then we'll do the other one differently on the other half. All right, let's get this guy in there first. Close our gate and put those threads out of our way. So I'm going to center my needle right in the center of my crosshair, and I'm going to sew this design going around this way and sew each piece of it, right? So it should line up right on the lines because this is a 45-degree triangle, or right triangle, I guess. Okay, so I'm back in the center. I can literally just rotate. I don't even have to rotate my sandwich, but this will help you see the alignment a little better. You can see that this line, this center line lines right up on it. Let's get you in a little closer. So right there, and you can see that this line lines right up on it because this is the 45-degree. But I still think it makes kind of a fun shape. So again, we're skipping. We're going to do the 8, so we're not using the 16 lines at this moment. Oh, I got to cut this. It's getting trapped over here. All right, so let's show you where we are. and I'm going to keep moving those threads out of the way. So we'll just sew a couple more of these. And then skip a line. So here you can see I've got grips right around the point and right at the base, even on the key here. So essentially when I'm sewing this one, I'm holding kind of 4 quadrants right there. Okay, let's get you, let's see if we can get a better, I need to get in a little more. How's that? Can you guys see good? See the alignment? So I've got the center alignment here. I'm lined up right here on that reference line that comes out at the 45-degree angle mark. And one of the things I think would be fun with this is like a pinwheel. So I'll take this off so you can see. This would be a super easy pinwheel design. And I'll just tack it in the center and just move it out because I want to come right back here to do the next piece. So we'll just cut this. That way you can see it. Come on, bobbin. Isn't that cute? And so easy, right? So easy to do. And then you know what would be super cool is to put a bigger one on and offset it just a little bit so that it doesn't sew right here, but it sews right here and like that. So let's go ahead and just do that with a bigger one. Hopefully it won't be too big, but I just think it looks so cool. And you could do it, you know, on every space. We've done it essentially on these 4. We kept skipping, but you could do it on every space, which means that you'd have another triangle right here that would connect. So you could do them on every space, but we can even just put the bigger ones in the middle if we wanted to. I'll show you the little offset that I think would look really cute. But again, my mind is just bursting with ideas. There just seems like there's so many things that we could do with this that my brain is just, you know, going crazy. Let's see, we need to get our thread in there first, right? We need to get our ruler in there. Stick it in there first. Okay, setting my needle right in the center, getting my foot down so I can see where I'm going. Right there. We are going to stitch over this area, so it's okay. We can just align it. Now, let me explain what I mean by offsetting. Right now, if I put this bigger one on, it's going to sew right on this exact line, and I don't want that. I want a little fun. I want a little different alignment. So let's choose some repeatable rule. Remember what I said, a random rule doesn't mean that you don't have a rule. It means it's a rule that you create that you can repeat. And we're going to create that right now with our spacing gauge. All we need to do is just create some room. We can create whatever space we want, but I'm going to put my 1/2 inch spacing gauge right up here. And each time as I go around, I'm going to use that same rule, and that's going to give me a little bit different look. Of course, we would give enough room so we wouldn't go into our other designs, right? But I still think this is going to look cool. Okay, so same thing. If this is our design, we're going to rotate past it right at the corner with our 1/2 inch spacing gauge, and that's going to give consistency to each one of these because they're going to be the same. Clearly, I needed a little bigger space, but that's okay. It's still going to look awesome. All right, let's do one more. So here's the same alignment on the reference line, and we are going to use that 1/2 inch right at the tip of the triangle to give us that consistency in our design. And then let's get these threads. I think I will just cut them because they're in my way. We're definitely tacked in at this point. I always worry about doing that because I've done that so many times and I've cut my thread. So I don't like to do that. All right, let's see. Janine Spencer. Let me grab my tool that I'm going to show you. It's under the computer, so hang on one second. So this is called the 8-point crosshair. Let's come out a little bit so we can see it better. All right. We'll get back to the design in just a second, but you know, if somebody's asking a specific question like that, we want to share that knowledge really fast. Okay, so let's turn that light off so we're not getting so much glare. This is called the 8-point crosshair, and the size of this is 8.5. So this is actually the 1/4 inch on each side of this, and the center line right there, this box, that's the 8-inch box. This has 45-degree angle marks. So between each one of these openings, this is 45 degrees, 45 degrees. So there's your 90. This is really easy to make those marks that I made very, very accurately. If I wanted to make more marks, because I have 16 on mine, I can make the first set and keep the center line the same, and then I would rotate so that this center line right there was on the line I already drew, and then I could make the lines in the middle. So this will allow you to make 16, you could even make 32. It's going to double each time. So if I make 8 and then I split 8 in half, I get 16. If I have 16 and I split those in half, I'm going to make 32. So it doubles each time with any of these. And we have 8-point, we have a 5-point, and we have a 6-point. So here's my 5-point, just to kind of show you the difference. Oh, I guess I have 2 of these. Here we go. Here's my 5-point. So you can see this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, same center line, and then you would split these in half. So this would never be able to use it kind of straight if you're doing 5, because it's more like the big Y. There's the Y right there, and then that wider area is split. But the 6 can be used right through a center line of a design, and the 8, because those are even. But if I did 10, right, that would be the center line right here. So if I did 10 lines with this, then you could use that to evenly split a design. So these crosshairs, the benefit for them is you're making all the lines at the same time, which makes the design super accurate. All right, so let's do this last bit of this guy, and then we'll take the camera, the template off so you can see. Let me see if we can get you in just a little bit more. Right? It looks kind of messy, right? There's so many lines going on. I'm going to turn it over so you can see it, but let's kind of get us oriented on it. Let's see where we are. I guess we got to go this way. There we go. Okay, so remember that this was the initial pinwheel triangle that we stitched. This would be at the same alignment where we're lined up right on the center reference line. So here, this would stitch right over that existing design, and I don't want that. So we're going to camp that enough here so that we use the random rule of our 1/2 inch spacing gauge right at the tip of the triangle. And that's going to give us something that we can follow in terms of a alignment. So when I say those random rules, you can make whatever rule that you want to, as long as you can follow it. The key is that you have to be able to easily remember how to follow it and have it be something that will be consistent for your design. So that doesn't mean you have to use mine, although you're welcome to use mine if you want to. I don't care. All right, I'm going to cut that thread and take our template off and show you how it looks. Ah, doesn't that look so awesome? I know he's like cut off over here, but that looks so cool. So let me do one more thing that's going to help you with the visual on that. There, see, doesn't that look way better with no lines? I think the chalk always makes it really hard to see, but that is so cool. And just think, you could do another size. You could do one more size because there is room right here to put another one if you're kind of stacking them. And what this will create is the sensation of spin. So Margie, I'm going to answer your question. Margie's question is, do I ever worry about a buildup of thread here in the center? So I don't know, let's see, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. When I hold this right now, it's feeling very flat. One of the ways you could manipulate this to get more buildup with less bulkiness is it's okay to maybe stop one stitch short or one stitch to the right or left instead of like center, because what's going to happen here is thread is going to build up. So if you're 1 or 2 stitches off of the center, nobody's going to notice, but what will happen is it will feel flatter, a little bit flatter, because you're going to build up thread there no matter what. One thing with this type of design is I don't recommend that you put this in the center of a seam intersection. Right? This is probably not the best if you have this right in the middle of your block. One way you could get a similar look, but you could avoid maybe this center issue, is you could put a little circle in the center, like if your seam is right there, put like a 1/2 inch circle right there. And then you could build this design out from the circle, and then you could travel and build this whole side out from the other. You still would use the same crosshair markings, but that would help to reduce some of that bulk if your seam is right in the center of your design. So that's another option that you can use. So somebody asked about my thread. Right now I am using Fantastico, and it's the same in the top and the bottom. It's a 40 weight 3-ply trilobal polyester thread. That's a lot of big words, right? But it's awesome. Here, I'm just going to pull it down from the threader because it's on the top spool stand for me. Awesome. See if we can get it to, there you go. So this is the color. It's kind of like sea color. It's got a little like seaweed green and different blues. Super pretty. Looks amazing on a dark blue, like a royal blue, and on a darker blue, and looks amazing on this. Also looks great on raspberry. So lots of good options for you. Always use a good quality thread. You have so many amazing options than we did, say, 25 years ago. I mean, the thread that we had 25 years ago was a crapshoot. The thread that we have today is better than ever. Let's see if we have a little spot where we can do one more thing. Then we'll be done. We'll stop. Okay, I'll do it really fast. Let's make a center alignment so that we have a good reference line. I'm going to use my biggest one because that will give us more options as far as what I want to show you. All right, so let's see, what's the best way to put it in there? I guess we need our line to be a little lower. Let me grab a different fabric that we can use. Hang on a sec. All right, okay, this is a little scrappy bit that I have, and we'll put this on here. Okay, so we're set in the top of the triangle. We'll get our reference lines lined up right here, so we have a nice, easy line that we can use to align. So this fabric is a little thicker, so let's make some adjustments here. Need a little bit more room. And a little less tension on our thread, because I can tell he's not stitching as well. Oh, see, you got to adjust for every different fabric. You can't just expect that it's going to work. It worked so pretty with the other one, but not with this one. All right, can you see that this is flagging? So my foot is a little bit too high for this fabric. So let's make sure he's the right height, because he's definitely too high. Okay, so we're at the top. Let's take this off, and I'm going to grab those echo guides and answer that echo guide question. So obviously, bigger is better if you want to use the echo guides with this, because then you have the ability to use all of them. If you have a really, really tiny triangle, like our gateway, right? That does not even fit in there. So that's not really going to be useful. Margie Jones, apparently you are not part of my Free Motion Friday crew. So I invite you to come and join us at 10 o'clock Mountain Time on FabriKated Quilts for Free Motion fun. I love to mix free motion with my ruler works all the time. Love it. I think it's a great way to go. So let's go ahead. This needle is already set. The thread is still connected. I'm going to just pick up everybody, right? So now, oh, I can tell that it just jammed my bobbin. Darn it. Okay, that's all right. We'll just give ourselves a little room here. I'm going to hold that thread and I'm going to put this underneath there so that I can line this up. Right on the foot. When I lower the foot, it should sit in there pretty well. Let's make sure that I'm not catching this. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to push it down, lift up the foot, make sure that this is all the way on there. It should be pretty secure. What I don't want is this to be sagging so that this is catching the fabric. You always want to make sure this is high enough so that you can do that. Let's go ahead and we'll put this on as well and get that thread seated on there. Close our gate. Now, in order to make this start at the same position, I'm going to lower the foot and make sure that my needle is in the right spot right there. Okay, and I think I will tack a few stitches because I don't know, it might go bunky on me. Oh, it feels good, and I can move the sandwich, so that's a good sign. All right, so now I'm going to pull this down, and I don't quite have the reference lines like I did before. Right down here, I can't line it up, but what I can do is I can put this line parallel to one of these. So I'm visually checking the spacing on this side and on this side to make sure that it is the same between the two. So now I can just sew another triangle right until the foot gets in there, and then, oh, it doesn't like that. See, whenever you change your sandwiches, always got to do a thread test, right? And then just to show you that we can have some more fun than that, because that didn't give us much value in terms of visual impact. So you guys have seen that tessellated triangle, right? So you could do that with this. You can just keep tipping this, and we can put our triangles on there and we can make them swing, which I think is cool. All right, so that'll just show you. And then, you know, if I wanted to take this off and keep sewing, first things first, lift up your needle, then the foot, just wiggle this off. The little cutaway allows you to remove it so the thread can pass through. So if I just wanted to start sewing right now, I can just put my needle down and I can just fill this in right here if I wanted to. So you never have to take your ruler foot off. You can leave it on, free motion all you want. And then when you get over to wherever your next spot is, you can just put your ruler back on and continue sewing. Definitely think that sewing free motion with my ruler work, I almost never put a free motion foot on. I almost always use my ruler foot as well so that I can easily switch back and forth. Okay, so again, you get 3 sizes. I think I dropped one. Yes, I don't know what I did with it. It fell down. But we have 3 of these. So 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch. And those could certainly all be used with some of these larger flying triangles. You should absolutely feel good about using them in any of those. When you put them on, make sure they don't move around. If you have a Westalee foot, they fit great. This is a Janome foot, also they fit well. Just make sure you test that if you're using a brand other than ours, okay? So we are done. So I'm going to remind you that we have a giveaway for the 4-inch flying triangle, the gateway flying triangle, and the 3-inch. And just as a reminder, this height is going to vary. I mean, mathematically, it's a 45-degree triangle, but this right here is the length. This is 3. This from here to here is 4. The shorter leg, not the hypotenuse, but the short leg of these are what you're measuring as far as size. Okay? So hopefully you guys will enjoy that and find some good value and some fun design ideas. Please like, comment, and share in order to be eligible to win. I believe they will be announcing the winner, I think, on Thursday. So I think there's already a note about when they're going to announce that. So anyway, I'm glad that you guys were able to hear me and we were able to work it out. I'm still struggling to get that mic issue sorted out, but I'm going to be working on it. We are going to make it happen. Have a great weekend and happy quilting. I'll see you guys later.